And then there's these high-level peer-to-peer conversations going in the mastermind because we're all equals there. We're all entrepreneurs learning and growing together. So I'm taking a simple concept and I could bore you, but like we're creating shorts and we're creating social content. So just by having conversations with leaders in my industry, being a student, documenting the journey, then taking the best leaders and introducing them to my inner circle, I'm building such strong relationships. I have endless content, and all I need to do is be a good student. And anybody who wants to build a relationship can do exactly this. And it doesn't have to be on a 10 million view a month thing. It could just imagine talking to a room of 100 people. It's quite a bit. If I was live in front of 1,000 people, I'd be like, oh my God, it's a C.
Your business's success depends on relationships. Relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Ponto. Each week I bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week I'm excited to connect with Ben Albert. He is the owner of Albert Marketing LLC, founder of Grow Getters Only, and the host of the internationally recognized podcast, Real Business Connections. Congrats on all those awesome things, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Carl, thanks, man. I'm really excited for this conversation, a human-to-human conversation.
Yes, human-to-human conversation. So, and I think I'm really excited to have you on because all three of those things are very much aligned with human connection and building those real relationships. And you talk about something that I would love to dive into as much as we can for the time limit of the show, but it's about how people can become a center of gravity in their networks. And what is that? So what does that mean by center of gravity, and how do people achieve it, and what's the benefit of it?
I mean, simply put, would you rather attract people into your orbit or have to, I mean, worst case scenario, you're pushing them away. No one wants to spend any time with you. A lot of us are out hunting and grabbing and pulling and pulling. Concept of being a center of gravity is just attracting people into your orbit, being the center of attention, being the thought leader. And we can go as deep into this as you'd like, but I simplify 3 categories: plus, minus, equals. Your pluses are your mentors, they're industry leaders. There's people that maybe they have a lot of sway in your industry and they can become referral partners for you. Your equals are your peers, the peer-to-peer support, your strategic partners. Your minus is your audience and your clients. You want to understand who your mentors are, the industry leaders, your peers, and your audience, and find ways to attract those people into your orbit. It can be through something like a podcast, an event, a blog, a charity event. We could go all day, but instead of like showing up with lots of business cards for a networking event and trying to sell everybody at the table, you create the event, you create the podcast, you create the platform, and you invite those people to be a part of it. And then you become a thought leader, reputable, trusted source through those human-to-human relationships with those people. Mentors educate you, help you look good. Peers, peer-to-peer support, learning, also they can become referral partners. And your audience knows that you, your team, and your solution is the absolute best fit because they're now a part of your tribe. They're a part of your mission. They love what you do. And that's like the bullet point short version, but it's a permission-based way to bring people to you that want to, as humans, spend time, money, send referrals to you, versus just trying to hunt and advertise and, churn and burn as many clients as possible.
Yeah, I definitely see how the center of gravity metaphor plays out with that, because it is something that I've started a podcast, so I'm seeing this in action and didn't realize that was exactly the framework I was fitting into there. But it makes sense now. And also one thing I was noticing as you were talking was that you didn't mention any particular like industries, didn't mention any sort of limitations to that. Well, this only works in these sort of scenarios, but it's more of a model that fits in any industry because you're talking about the people side of the relationships, and it's not about the particular industry or technology or location. And I think that's really what makes it so powerful, is because the success of it is not limited to or impacted as much by the nature of the work being done, but it's about your ability to connect with people and build those relationships, and understanding the plus, minus, and equals. You have different dynamics with those different groups and have to understand what their needs are, but you're approaching it as from that there are other people and human beings, not the specific like business or the product or what they do that matters as much.
100%. I mean, if you're in industry that humans make decisions, then it's going to work. And a problem, I think, is a lot of people focus, and everyone's a plus, a minus, and an equals at some area in their life. There's nothing wrong with being a minus. Minus is just representing like a client or an audience. A lot of people put all their time into just the clients and the audience, and they're very much advertising and talking at people. But when you build strong relationships with your industry peers, with similar, let's say I'm an executive at a roofing company, I'm going to want to know the solar company and the gutter people and anyone that does something that I don't, so we can become referral partners. And I also want to be well connected with industry leaders, because they're the ones that educate us, educate our team, maybe come in and do a training for our team. And then when an industry leader talks about your product, your service, your solution on their podcast, their YouTube, their blog, wow, do you look good? So it's not just focusing on hunting the clients or building a massive audience. It's building a peer-to-peer relationship with leaders, peers, and your audience. And in my opinion, it should never be parasocial. You should have relationships with your clients. It's not just them knowing you. You want to build a strong relationship with your client, not a parasocial relationship, an actual social relationship. And I mean, we can get into strategy, but like buy a booth at a baseball game, have one-to-one meetings. And you know this, I'm preaching to the choir. It's just those strong relationships is what's going to give your business longevity through AI, through economic issues. That's what's going to keep it strong and durable.
Yeah, the real relationships beyond the one way kind of talking at people through marketing is something that a lot of companies don't have, that sort of relationship, and don't really understand how important it is, because for one, if you aren't getting feedback and aren't listening to your audience, then your marketing is going to likely be missing the mark, and you're going to be wasting a lot of time and effort on throwing something at a wall to see what sticks, instead of asking people what they actually want from your business. But then also, you're trying to build that trust and that loyalty and get the repeat business. You have to have a two-way conversation. You have to really connect on a deeper level than just a transaction for people to want to stick around. And more people are craving that sort of relationship, that sense of belonging, that sense of community, even if they can't articulate it themselves. But subconsciously there's a lot of lack of that connection and community in people's lives. And so companies that are able to provide that through communities like Grow Getters Only, or through their kind of other programs that they're building with their clients and customers, and that gives them that resilience to disruption and longevity. And it also allows people to focus on what really like the numbers that really matter. As you're talking again, I thought back to what we talked about before we started recording, which is that you recently hit a huge milestone on YouTube, over a million the views or subscribers. I don't remember exact metric.
Million views were like
million views.
7 to 8,000 subscribers, which is wild to me. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know what I was doing when I started it 5 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, and then but we mentioned that it took you 5 years, and none of your one videos went viral. It was all these slow incremental,
Yeah.
like 1,000 views per video. But what made that more impressive to me is that it's the same, like the same people or similar people getting real value, keep coming back, and are more likely to actually listen to you and follow your advice and be engaged. And so those million views are much more likely to be actually converting to the real metrics that a business cares about, or versus you have a flash in the pan, a couple really big viral videos that lots of people see, but they're never going to watch any more of your content because they were just kind of along for the hype train and not actually caring about the content. So I think a lot of emphasis is put on these kind of vanity metrics because we're still get that like endorphin dopamine buzz when you see the numbers go up. You go, oh, it's super exciting. But it's important to understand from a longevity and an actual like successful engagement and content creation and relationship building standpoint that you need to focus on the things where it's actually more of that back and forth connection, not just the vanity metrics. So I thought that the sort of your approach to building these relationships mirrors that case study really well.
Yeah, it's can I apply like the podcast to the plus minus equals as a simple example? So I bring on a podcast guest, and I'm a marketer. I understand marketing. I'm not going to choose the guest that's the best market, like best. I don't have a specific thing that I'm trying, I like metrics I'm trying to hit. I don't really care. I want to learn from the person that's going to educate me best. I'm on this journey. So it's kind of selfish, but I choose my mentors as guests. So I know for a fact I'm going to be fully present. I'm going to learn something. They're my plus. I'm the minus. I get to document a learning journey, and all my listeners, the audience, are kind of like my minus, Got my mentor. I say I'm the minus because I'm still learning with everybody else, and then I'm documenting it for more people. You mentioned the community is called Grow Getters Only. I hand select my favorite podcast guests, and I give them an offer to speak within my mastermind, paid, exclusive, private mastermind. So that's peer-to-peer support of entrepreneurs. So I find the great guests on the podcast, then I bring them into the mastermind. The guest gets my large audience, then they get to learn my network in the mastermind, and then there's these high-level peer-to-peer conversations going in the mastermind because we're all equals there. We're all entrepreneurs learning and growing together. So I'm taking a simple concept, and I could bore you, but like we're creating shorts and we're creating social content. So just by having conversations with leaders in my industry, being a student, documenting the journey, then taking the best leaders and introducing them to my inner circle, I'm building such strong relationships. I have endless content, and all I need to do is be a good student. And anybody who wants to build a relationship can do exactly this. And it doesn't have to be on a 10 million view a month thing. It could just imagine talking to a room of 100 people. It's quite a bit. If I was live in front of 1,000 people, I'd be like, oh my God, it's a C. 50 people is a good crowd. So as long as you have the right people in the room with the right positioning, with the right audience, like it doesn't matter if it's 10, 50,000. Now it does matter. 1,000's better than 10, but you've got the right human beings. And you just repeat the process based on, I mentioned a podcast, but you could do it at live events. You can have a blog where you bring industry leaders into the blog. It's actually one of my favorite sales tools. And I know I'm rambling. I'll shut up after here, Clara, but my favorite sales tool is having a blog. So instead of calling someone up and saying, hey, Carl, and I know no one actually says this, but hey, Carl, would you like to buy some of my stuff? I call them up and I say, hey, Carl, I know you've been BBB accredited for 35 years. I know you guys are a leader in your industry. I haven't even introduced myself yet, which is funny. I know you're a leader in your industry. The purpose of my call is we actually have a blog for leaders in the roofing SaaS. I don't know if that's the best example, but leaders in roofing SaaS, products for roofers. And as one of the top in the world, would you be open if I featured your company in that blog? And then you have a Google form. You could do a private interview, meet with them in person, or if you're trying to do it at scale, you have a form they can fill out. You use AI tools to turn the form into a blog article. Once it goes live, you share it. You get their team to share it. Now, I called someone up that I would actually like to spend money with me. And I'm an executive building strong relationships. I have my team building this because I know that a good client could net me 100K revenue a year, even more, even smaller is fine, but let's say 100K revenue a year. Instead of calling them saying, hey, will you spend 100K a year on me? I call them, I say, hey, can I feature you as an industry leader? I use the article to build a relationship with the executive assistant who's probably filling it out. I get the team member sharing this article. Then maybe I take one of the leaders out for a drink, this or that, jump on a call, and I cold called this person, Carl. But since I added value in a unique, value-driven way, it got me in the door. It attracted them to my orbit. Now they're open to hear more about my products. And I don't have a big team, Carl. If I had a team of 50 people on the phone, I would not be cold pitching people. I'd find a marketing tool to attract the people to. And then once they're in the room, they actually ask you to pitch them. They go, tell me a little bit about what you guys do here. Or they do their own original research. So I'm on a soapbox. I'm going to shush, but I hope that's helpful.
This is super valuable because I think a lot of businesses that are trying to scale and they haven't updated their tactics for bringing in leads, and they go out and they're hunting, or if they're trying to get referrals, they're going out to networking meetings and they're going to still have that wrong mindset of going out and what am I going to get? How can I find people to refer me business? Whereas what you just did, which is similar to what I'm doing, but I'm totally taking notes here as you're talking, is you go out and you figure out how you can add as much value to people for their business, for their network, and you show that you're wanting to, you understand them. First of all, you've done some research. It's not really a completely cold call because you've actually looked them up and you've learned more about them. And then you show that you understand what would be valuable for them based on what their current situation is. And then you offer to give them that value in a way that's only takes like I said, only an executive assistant has to fill out a form, and then they get this content made, and you help them promote the content. It elevates them, it makes them look good, and they get that trusted, someone else who has a trusted network pointing at them saying, hey, this is also a trustworthy person, carries way more weight than any marketing campaign they could put out on their own, saying, hey, look how great we are. And so by making deposits into that relationship, then and giving as much, so much that they eventually are going to want to go, okay, how can we help you? We got to reciprocate because our brains are wired to want to help the people that help us, unless you're a psychopath, and hopefully you're not trying to do too many business deals with psychopaths, but they're going to want to reciprocate. And that approach of going out and giving as much value as possible, and then asking for something when someone is ready to give, because you've added so much value to their relationship, they can't hold any more. They want to give it back. That's the way you build those relationships and actually get what you want back way more than if you went out there just trying to cold pitch people. Because really, when you automate, or you use a lot of the tools now that allow you to send all these cold messages and pitch slaps and stuff, you're basically just burning bridges at scale and not really
Mhm.
getting any more value. And they only have a certain size market of people you can possibly sell to. And if you're just going out there and annoying people and burning bridges as quickly as you can, you're eventually going to run out, and you're actually going to miss out on a lot more opportunities, because if you go out and add value to people, then they're going to want to connect you with their network, and they're going to be, again, that gravity metaphor kicks in, where people are in there. If you're pulling in someone who has a big sense, like a center of gravity themselves, all the people in their network are going to start gravitating towards you as well. And you get this big lump together of networks, and you get access to a lot more people through that transference of trust that you wouldn't have if you had just gone out and burned the bridge by trying to sell to them right away before making those contributions. So it's a self-fulfilling cycle that actually can deliver a ton of value, but you have to understand how it works and be willing to put in the initial effort to get it going, and not try and
True.
not be so impatient you can't wait for the results to mature. So thank you so much for connecting with me today, Ben. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection Podcast, please leave a review, and subscribe. If you want to learn more about myself or Ben, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.